So do you ever just have one of those ideas and you know that it's going to be awesome if you can execute it? This is one of those ideas. I am totally going to turn this old sink into something awesome in my garden. This thing is a tank, but it is a cast iron sink that I got for free on Facebook Marketplace. And I'm going to turn it into a garden sink so that I can not have to rush inside to put all of our fresh picked vegetables in cold water. Right when you pick your fresh veggies, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, like cucumbers, you want to put your lettuces, you want to give them a cold shock. That will stop the growing process and allow your vegetables to stay crunchy. So oftentimes in the past, when we didn't quite know this, we would pick things and then we would, walk around the garden, harvest everything, and then by the time we got inside, things were wilty and they just didn't look super happy. Cold shock will allow them to last longer and again, allow them to stay crunchier if you're going to do any canning. So my whole idea is to be able to kind of make like a little spraying table. So I'm going to use some hard cloth, it's like that little fencing, and I'm going to make that like a little spray table where I can spray it off and get the dirt off of it. And then I'm going to have the sink right next to it where it'll have a just cold water where I can put them in to soak for, a couple minutes, or depending on what it is. I mean, cucumbers can be in there for a little bit. Lettuce, you don't want to leave in there too long, but you do want to cold shock your lettuce too. And then once I'm done and ready to bring everything inside, it's going to be much cleaner coming inside. Everything can just go right away. I don't have to take up sink real estate in the house, which is going to be huge. And then I also want to be able to utilize the drain on this sink and just kind of have a bucket underneath and utilize the gray water and be able to learn how to be more efficient with the water that we have. Obviously, if you've been watching a little bit, we are not off-grid yet, but we are aspiring to be off-grid. So we want to learn the skills needed to do that. And so right now we have a great well, we have an abundance of water, but if we want to live off-grid, we might want to be a little more, we want to conserve our water a little bit more. And just learning these little skills and getting some in the habit of some of this stuff early on is gonna play a big role in our ability to just quickly adapt when we do choose to go into that off-grid lifestyle. And so, yeah, utilizing the gray water that comes out of the sink and not just letting it drain on the ground, I'll actually utilize it and put it back into, maybe areas that we don't typically bring the hose, or just kind of in a far part of the garden, or water some trees, or just being more efficient with our resources that we do have. So this sink is extremely heavy. I'm going to make some kind of heavy duty stand for it, just out of wood scraps probably around the property that my husband has from his projects. And I'm going to see what I can come up with. I don't know if I can pull it off. There's a chance I could have to ask my husband for help, but we'll see. This is my plan. I think it'll work. Let's find out. Okay, so I'm finally finished with it and I'm extremely excited. I'm just ready to show you guys. So, drum roll. Here we go. And the finished product, made 100% for free on our homestead. So I built this thing extremely sturdy, and no, I'm not a professional. So are my lines perfect? No. Are they super squared off? Not so much, but it works perfect. It is super sturdy. I did bury the edges here just a little bit on the ends to create a little more stability since it's an uneven ground being in the grass. I don't want our little lady to feel like she can pull this thing right over, which it's super sturdy anyways, but it just creates a little more stability, especially with a wide open property with lots of wind. So this is made with just scraps that we had laying around, wood scraps that my husband used for other projects, and then we do have, these are some rough cut wood from our local mill that were just sitting. They were a bit warped, and so I kind of forced it into this position a little bit, and they work just great for this. And I actually kind of like how it has some like bark edging. I think it gives it some character, which is super fun for the garden. So on this side we have the hardwire cloth. This is going to be kind of the wash side, or anything like a root vegetable that's going to be covered in dirt. I can set it on here, not worry about things getting dirty. If I just want to rinse things off and not submerge them in water, I can just give them a rinse here, and they can dry off and be ready to bring right inside the house. Then we have the sink, obviously, and like I said, I got this for free on Facebook Marketplace. To find a free sink, it's really not that hard. I actually just searched free sink and a lot of options popped up. There was things like this, there were utility sinks and different options. Don't pay for one, just find one for free from any kind of local site that you have near you. Like I said, completely free. So that's just kind of set in here. I don't have it fastened down at all. I mean, if somebody wanted to come pick it up, they could. But it is super sturdy. It is in there. We are actually, I'm going to take this off and use it actually inside. It's on there just with a little piece underneath that I couldn't get off. But you definitely could hook up your hose to the faucet if you felt like you wanted to have it come out of the actual faucet. I'm just going to use the hose straight into the reservoir here. My husband picked up this handy dandy drain so I can plug it, and then there is the bucket underneath to collect the gray water, and I'll just use that to water other things. And then right next to it, obviously, we have kind of another, it could be another wash area because the water can drain in between the slats here, or just kind of use it as a table to set things and to hold this pretty planter, because why not? So all in all, I am super incredibly excited about this wash sink that I've created for our garden. And like I said, 100% free. If you have wood lying around, you could take apart pallets. You could, just use leftover wood that you have sitting around. Just get really creative and come up with your own structure and your own design. But this essentially is going to, like I said in the beginning, it's going to save us space in the kitchen. It's going to keep things clean and tidy and keep our fruit and vegetables lasting much longer, so that when we bring them in, they're ready to be put away, and or we can go ahead and start canning or whatever we're going to do with them. So I highly recommend making yourself a wash table for your garden. Okay, so now that I've actually showed you the wash table, let's put it to use. I'm going to fill up the reservoir in the center, and I will actually go harvest some things so that you can see it in its full glory. Now, because we're using hose water and the hose will heat up as it sits in the sun, I did let the hose run out and kind of get rid of that hot water. And so now that what I'm putting in here is actually cold water, which is what you want when you go to submerge your vegetables. Okay, so we got our water basin filled up here. It is nice and full, but guess what? We're outside, so it doesn't really matter if it overflows. We're just gonna leave it like that. Check and make sure we are not dripping, so our plug is actually working. It's nice and chilly. I pulled some beets here, and those are our first harvest of the day. And let's go grab some more goodies. And our official harvest for the day: sunflower heads, cucumbers, both muncher and picklers. We have jalapenos, sugar snap peas, green pepper, green beans, well these are actually rattlesnake beans, broccoli, zucchini, and beets. Well, there you have it, the garden wash table. It is going to be so incredibly beneficial, and I highly recommend that you make one too. Let me know in the comments down below if you make one, and I will see you in the next one. I just scared my husband away because I couldn't stop crunching on these, and he hates the sound of crunching. I can't help it, they're so good.